Now check and see. Are we live? We shouldn't be live. I hope we're live.
Not quite.
No?
No. It says 10 waiting.
I know. That's why I'm just like,
Do you need to go into the Zoom part of the thing to let people in or something? That shouldn't.
Oh, wait. Are we live? We might be live now.
I've got us.
Oh,
Where we go?
I think we're good.
Okay.
Well done, Amber.
Sorry about that, everybody. We had a little technical difficulty, but you know, that's the
That's life.
Live streaming.
Thanks for sorting us, Amber. You're doing an amazing job. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for everybody that's joining us on the interwebs.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, we've got our tea.
We do indeed.
I've got my usual stress relief tea, and it's a yogi tea, and it comes with a little affirmation or saying that I like to talk about at the beginning of our thing. So our affirmation today is appreciate yourself and honor your soul.
Very good for self-care.
It's pretty great for self-care, right?
That's nice.
What are you guys having?
I've just got my morning English breakfast, waiting for it to hit. Come on.
And I'm lavender and blueberry. No tea in it really at all. I am not English.
Right, that's right. Okay, well, we can probably get started since we're a couple minutes late.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So as we talked about and as we publicized, we're here to talk about self-care tonight. So I'm going to do the first reminder of, hey, print this now if you haven't printed it already, or have it close by so that you've got it, of the self-care booklet. And then what we're going to do tonight is, or this afternoon or this morning, go with whichever one is appropriate to your area, is talk with you about self-care, the benefits of it, hurdles you may come across. We're going to talk about the fact that we're going to be back here this time next week to be able to circle back around on all of what we talk about tonight. Next week will be a closed session, so we won't be casting live like we are tonight. It'll just be us humans together and chatting about how it's been going on for us. So we've got that. Let me see. I think the first thing we're going to talk about is what we talk about in the booklet of the levels that we have.
Yes, we're gonna introduce ourselves really quick.
Yes, we are. Sorry, we all know who we are. and I believe we've got an exercise.
Of you watching that don't know who we are.
So I will. I'll go first since I'm already talking. So I'm Claire. Originally from England. I'm now in the East Coast of the US. I'm a life coach and I specialize in grief and what that means to us in all aspects of our lives. Not just the traditional view of it with the passing of someone. It could be something that passed. So I will throw the ball to you, Amber.
Hello, I'm Amber Goodenough. I am the owner of Shine On Wellness, the channel you're currently watching. And I live now, as of about a week and a half ago, in Santa Barbara, California. Just moved back to, I'm literally creating my dream life, you guys. Like, if you want to know if this stuff works, I can just tell you. So I just moved to California. This is my favorite place. So thrilled to be here. And basically, I'm a wellness coach, life coach, and yoga teacher. So you might check out some of my yoga videos on this channel if you're not familiar with me. But I love working with people on their health and wellness and mindset and all of those things. So that is my coaching business, and throw it to Jen.
Ooh. Thanks, lovely ladies. I'm Jen Gwynn-Jones. I'm a life coach based on the East Coast of Australia, down in Canberra. And I work with people feeling stuck in their professional or work routine. And, coming from the East Coast of Australia, we just want to send a lot of love and our thoughts to everyone in Northern California and Oregon with those awful fires. We've been watching them on the news. So we're sending much love to you all and hopefully some rain soon.
Thank you.
So Claire, may I start with my grounding exercise? Are we going to just shoot into it?
Yep, grounding
Awesome.
first. Go for it.
So we're just going to kick off with a grounding exercise. So you might be starting your day with me, you know, it's a morning, or ending up after a busy day at work over in the US. So we're just going to spend a short little moment coming into the room to get ready to spend some time together and talk about self-care. So first of all, just sit wherever you are, ground your feet into the floor, and we're just going to turn inwards and acknowledge any thoughts or feelings that we're having. How are you feeling at the moment? And acknowledge any thoughts that are coming up for you and pop them into words. So you say, oh, I notice I'm feeling a little excited about the webinar, and I'm having thoughts about things I'm going to talk about. But what is happening in your thoughts and your feelings at the moment? So just put that into words silently in your mind. We'll just spend a moment acknowledging that. So noticing any thoughts that are coming up and any feelings that you're having. And now we're going to connect with our body. So you might want to, you know, just move around a little bit. If you've been sitting at a desk all day, take this opportunity to maybe even stand up and have a stretch. But move your arms around, stretch out, wriggle your fingers and toes, and just feel the body that you've got, that you can explore the world in. Feeling your toes on the floor and the support that you're seated on. And just feel this body. Notice any areas that are maybe feeling a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit discomfort, or maybe any areas that are feeling good today. Just notice that. And now we're going to engage in our environment. Look around where you are and just notice a few things in the room. Notice them with new eyes. Noticing their color, how the light bounces off them. Notice the temperature. And now bring your attention to the computer in front of you and how you're connecting with us here, connecting with me, Amber and Claire, and me connecting with you. We're going to spend a bit of time together talking about self-care. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jen. That was awesome.
Thank you.
That was awesome. So I wanted to just remind everybody that we have a chat feature on the side of your YouTube video. So we'd love participation. If you're feeling like sharing tonight, we're going to ask for feedback, or if you have any questions, go ahead and just pop them in there. We'll answer them either while we're going or at the end. And we really, really appreciate your participation. And as Claire said, get your, if you have your workbook handy, get that out, because we're going to go through it in a sec.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, so what we wanted to do to start off with was talk to you guys about what we noted in the workbook. So on page 4, if you've got it, is the levels of your practice. So we talk about 3 levels of novice, competent, and proficient. So each of us are going to walk through each one, just touch on it lightly, and walk through what that means to go. So Jen, I believe you're up first with novice.
Yeah, sure. So for me, the levels are about the complexity of the activity itself, as well as the self-care activity, as well as the level of complexity in the environment in which you're practicing your self-care. So I'm going to be talking about novice. Now, when I first started my self-care journey, I was really burnt out, and I couldn't answer the question of what activities would help fill my cup, what activities would help recharge my battery. So if that sort of resonates with you, that's where we're sort of playing with the novice space. So the activity that we've got on page 5 in the workbook is to help people new to self-care practices and new to thinking about their self-care, how to start to identify things that bring them a little bit of health and well-being. So, of course, the idea of the idea of self-care is to do some activities that nurture your health and well-being. So if you're feeling like you just want to start this practice, one place to start is turning to your senses. So in the workbook, we invite you to start off with the sense of sight. So what are some like 5 things that you love to look at? For example, I love to look at kittens on the internet, trees, things like that. Just things that bring you a little bit of lightness and pleasure. And then go through the senses, things you love to smell, like rain, sandalwood, or onions cooking in butter. So run through those. Just get a list of the senses. We also go through the sense of hearing. I haven't put the sense of taste down there because often when we're feeling really stressed, it's very common for us to turn to food as maybe as a numbing out one. So I want to introduce the other senses into where we can find pleasure and recharge. And once you do this list, then you can just tap into this resource and give yourself 30 seconds, a minute a day. If you're feeling a little bit like you need a boost or a recharge, and indulge one of those senses in one of the ways that you've identified. And if you're really busy, if you're feeling like you don't have time for this, choose something that's already in your routine. Like for example, if you use moisturizing cream, really, when you're putting the moisturizing cream on your hand, smell it deeply and feel the texture of the cream as it goes in. Or even while you're in the shower, feel the weight of the water on you and feel it with your senses. And that's just a way to start opening up the self-care practice in a novice framework. Now, I ran through that pretty quickly, but hopefully that was okay.
Well, I don't, that was awesome. And I think that's like a brilliant place to start. I just want to back up a little bit because I feel like we kind of missed a spot. Not nobody's fault. We're excited. But I want to ask you guys a little bit more about like what is self-care? Because we need to maybe define that for somebody who is new to this topic. So how would you define it, or what does it mean to you?
Do you want to go, Jen?
I've done a lot of talking so far.
Gotcha. I'll give you a mo. So for me, self-care is something that fills your cup first. So then you're able to be there and be more present for your life. And your life can look like anything from people that are dependent on you to you succeeding in your job, things like that. But if you fill your cup first, you're able to be more present. So for me, that's one of the key aspects of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jen.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. I think self-care can be the little breaks in our day, which kind of has a superficial, sometimes you can think of it superficially like a bubble bath or, a manicure, but self-care can also be a lot deeper where you engage in some difficult things like setting a boundary in a relationship or doing some exercise that you maybe don't feel like doing. So self-care can be, it's quite a broad spectrum, but where we start with it is an activity. So it's a doing thing that supports your health and well-being.
Yeah. And so I would say self-care is anything that you're intentionally doing throughout your day to nourish yourself and combat any kind of stress that you might have in your life. It's attending to your needs. It's working on those things to create a happier, healthier, more balanced life, and choosing your own happiness over, the crazy that life can be, right? And so it's these little things or big things that you're choosing intentionally, sometimes daily, sometimes as needed, to really create that balance and that health and wellness that we're all after. And so I kind of also want to talk about so we need to probably do a better job of taking care of ourselves. I think that majority of people could probably say that's true for them. Whether it's physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, we all have to do these certain things to stay healthy. And so what I'd like to talk about next is what are the benefits? Like, why should you do this? Why should you add 20-minute meditation to your day? Why should you do that exercise or, see a therapist or meet with a coach or why do any of this? What are your thoughts you can go first, Claire.
Sure. I mean, it can be any different number of what the benefits are from, to touch on something that Jen said about doing like exercises and things. Like if you've got backache, knee ache, or a different kind of aches and bodily pains, you may wake up in the morning and be like, oh my goodness, I just don't want to move. But the actual act of movement and being present within that movement can make things better. You know, if you've got those types of aids, if you're seeing a physical therapist or something and they're saying do these exercises each day, those can have benefits for you. For some of us that have got very noisy insides of our brains, quieting that side down will actually enable you to be really present with your loved ones or with your day, and it feels nicer. I mean, and I know that sounds super duper simple to say it, but it just really does feel nice, and that you don't feel like your day or your life is running you per se. You know, it's like, okay, I'm cleaning my teeth this morning because I want to have good healthy teeth so I can eat very hard biscuits or something, you know, like whatever your like choices. So you're able to do that. Or I mean, you could keep going on the whole food thing of like, you don't want sensitive gums, so you can eat ice cream. So
right.
There's a lot that you can do that enables you to get more enrichment out of life. So for me, it's like kind of all based around that. So what you do kind of matters down to who you are, and then finding what your why is in there, and then that totally gives you the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's I agree with everything that you guys said, and I would just add that self-care, I think can be a routine or a practice. It can be a list of things to do, or it can be a jumbled toolbox that you pick and choose things out of, depending on what your need is. And always to be held with self-compassion, and it's not a task that you have to do, otherwise you're doing it wrong, and you know that's very bad. that goes against the vibe of self-care. So definitely something that helps us claim a moment of the day for our own, and show up for the people and the things that we love most and that brings meaning to our lives.
Yeah. And I think it's like Claire was saying, like you have to brush your teeth every day. It's just a habit that you get into. And for me, I got started because it was preventative medicine, because stress was so bad in my life that I couldn't, like I was having all these physical symptoms because of my stress. And so I had to start putting these practices in my day so that I wasn't living at a, 10 stress level, and I could bring that down to, at first it was just a 9, and then an 8, and then a 6, and then it would go back up to 8, and I'd have to add some more things or get a little, better with my habits. And, and so for me, it developed over I don't want to feel like this anymore. And if I start to put some of these things in my day, I feel better. And now that I've been doing this for like a few years, like I can tell you from experience, my relationship with myself is better. Like I'm less critical up here. I'm, not so much negative stuff. I'm more present in my relationships. My mental health has improved. My physical health has improved. And so for me, these are all big, big reasons why to take on this type of, maybe you're adding habits, maybe you're getting rid of habits. Maybe you have a bad habit of, I'll just use my friend as an example. She's probably watching right now. She likes to look at the news the first thing in the morning, and it makes her crazy, And so we're like, okay, so how could maybe we need to get rid of that habit, and that's part of her self-care. So anyways, there's lots of reasons why to do it. There's lots of great benefits from doing it. And so I just thought we would talk about that really quick. But then, so if you're getting started, if you're brand new to self-care, it can seem like you could look at somebody who's been doing it a while and go, oh my God, I have to add like 8 things to my list. And that seems overwhelming. So I love what you were saying, Jen. Maybe you can just review again the novice. If you're brand new to putting extra things in your day, where do we start? How do we get started?
Thanks, Amber. So I'll just recap. When we're starting out, we want to go small. what we call in our coaching circles, the turtle step. So you take a small step, you know, think of this, the small thing that you can do to add self-care to your day. And I would encourage you to cut that in half. We're talking really small steps that feel easy to achieve. And if you're new to self-care, maybe you're feeling depleted and not really sure how to refill your cup, we're giving you some guidance to look to your senses and find really simple things that you can either add to your day or focus on while you're doing them in your day, where you're doing something that feels really nice or smells really nice. So you're cooking dinner, smell those beautiful scents. If you're in the shower, feel the warm water and be in the shower. How often are we just 5 different places, right? And so in the practical part of today's discussion, I'll encourage you to choose a little something and make it really small, really easy, just to start becoming accustomed and starting to think about how self-care can be woven into your day.
Yeah. And I'll just add just a small comment is the water thing, feeling the water. That was one of my big things when I first got started, was
beautiful.
When I'm washing dishes, I'm feeling the water, I'm feeling the soap, you know, or same with the shower. You know, just feeling running water. Like we never, ever take the time to do that. So that was a big,
and isn't that,
moment.
You know, just such a privilege of our society. We've just got it on tap, literally on tap. And I love that example for you. It's not taking an hour out to go and pay to get a massage. You're doing the dishes, but you're finding a bit of connection with yourself and your environment. That's awesome.
And to go back,
go ahead.
I was going to say, to go back where we talked about the benefits and the whys, is like, you don't think about like the whole thing of like, I'm doing the dishes, you know, which kind of can feel a little and what have you. It's the fact that it's like, I'm cleaning these plates for my beautiful breakfast to go on, or to have a cup of tea in a clean mug with us here. Like it's looking at those benefits within what you're doing, as opposed to being like, oh my goodness, I'm doing the dishes and I'm going to get pruned fingers and, you know, ruin nails or something else. And that you're just like,
or you're sitting there just contemplating something that happened yesterday, or, you know.
Right. Yeah. Or, I mean, you take that example, let's say you've got a knife in the water or what have you soaking, and you're not present. That's when you nick yourself or something with it, as opposed, because you're off with your to-do list or something else, or worrying about the day. Whereas if you're right there with it, like, you tend to not have those little kind of accidents. For me, anyhow.
Absolutely. And I just as we're talking about this, it kind of made me think like, like starting a gratitude practice, that could be a great place to start. Maybe every day you think of 3 things that you're grateful for. And it could be that you have running water, that, you know, it could be that you can feel the breeze. I mean, it could be little teeny tiny things. It doesn't have to be big and things, but that would be a great practice to start with, is just a little bit of gratitude every day, or while you're washing the dishes, you're thinking about things you're grateful for. Who knows? I don't know. Lots of ways to do this. That's the great part about this, is there's so many ways to do this. You can really customize it to what works for you.
Absolutely.
So, cool.
So should we go on to competent?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm taking the competent piece. So competent is when you
page 6. Sorry.
Sorry. Yep. So we can do that. Page 6. And what you can do with competent is when you've got some stuff down. So you may do a little bit of yoga, you may do a little bit of journaling, you may be present when you're in the shower, things like that maybe are on a smaller scale or parts of your everyday life. And then what you're able to do is then take this to a next level. So if I give an example of how I've got a practice in my life. So I do yoga every sort of like about 5 to 6 days a week is when I do yoga. I tend to give my wrists a day off. So, but what I did was I started with like a 10-minute practice, and then I went up to a 12-minute practice. And then when I went up to a 15-minute practice, and I didn't start with every day, because I mean, I talk about my wrists, you know, I mean, computer keyboards, the whole 9 yards. It took a little while for my wrist to kind of get used to the downward facing dog and things like that. And that's why you don't necessarily jump in and go, okay, I'm going to do yoga for 1 hour a day, 7 days a week for the rest of my life. It's kind of too big, because if you set that goal out for yourself out from the onslaught, you don't have the time to adjust and feel it into you. So I started small. And so like competent, that's what it is. You've already got a practice in this. And maybe you're already doing the 10 minutes of yoga a day. Maybe you're doing an amount of journaling, whether you time that or a length of page or however you walk through your journaling practice. And then you want to take that up a little bit more and get a little bit more consistent there. And so you may go to the, okay, so I've started 3 times a week. All right, I'm doing pretty good here. I want to go up to 4 or 5 times a week. But you, within all of these practices and all of these levels that we talk about, the wonderful thing about self-care is if you give yourself self-care when you don't have it in you to do it. And as you progress, you start to learn, like when you kind of sort of like start hitting competent, you actually start noticing like an off day, where you're like, oh, I'm not kind of feeling it so much, and I could do with maybe 15 minutes longer in bed as opposed to the 15 minutes of the yoga. But you know, it's not you slacking, or kind of, you don't give yourself so much of a hard time with those types of things. So you do those, and you just keep building on it in either duration or you know, in that sort of like 5 to 10 minutes, building up on that, or the number of times that you do it within a week can be a number of different ways. So I don't know if you guys have got anything that you feel on that side of the house of how to increase your practice.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, Claire. And even trying it in a new space or in a new environment, to mix it up and add a little bit more spice to keep it interesting as well. You know, keep it playful and light. Maybe try your yoga to continue that example outdoors or with a friend, something like that.
Yeah, new studio or something like any of those different things to kind of flex that muscle a little differently.
Yeah. And I think it's important to start really small and basic and build, you know, so that you are just organically kind of integrating these things. And they, you know, especially when we're talking about creating habits, you know, those are hard. It's hard to create healthy habits, or everyone would be great at it, you know? So it's, you know, doing it with kindness and knowing that like, you're not going to be perfect. You're not going to maybe do it even every day. Like maybe you start out with, I'm going to just try to do once a week. And that's where you start, you know? When I started a meditation practice, I had a yoga studio near my house that offered a meditation class once a week. That's where I started. Yeah. So, and the only reason I went is because I had to be there at a certain time, you know?
Yeah, right. You had that accountability.
And you forked money over or told someone you were going or what have you. So and for me, I mean, I've got, one of the ways I'm kind to myself within my self-care practice, I know doing yoga at home, my wall is 45 minutes. Like that's where I stop, you know, but if I want to do longer, then I go to a class, and I know that that's where I'm able to do those 75, 90 minutes practices, but I need a different setting. Otherwise I just naturally hit that wall when I'm at home. So it's nice to recognize those things and notice and again, have self-care in yourself about how you do that. So to touch on what we've got in the workbook is we talked about doing trying self-care through your love language. So for those of you that aren't familiar with love languages or don't necessarily know what yours are, there is a little piece in the bottom corner of page 6 that gives you where you can go to look into love languages.
There's like a free quiz, I think, that you can take to figure out what yours is.
Exactly.
But these are great. Are you going to go through some of these examples?
I was just going to quickly touch on them. Yeah. So there's 5 love languages, which is receiving gifts, physical touch, words of affirmation, acts of service, and quality time. Everyone kind of plays in all realms, but you're going to have ones that are going to come through a lot stronger for you. So for me, I'm definitely an acts of service person. So, and I recognize that, and you do things within there. Now you can do acts of service for yourself. Yeah, I mean, we've got some suggestions. There are decluttering a room, which can be an act of service to yourself, but it can also be a physical touch thing as well, where You pick up things. I'm currently at the moment going through stuff that's coming out of storage. I moved a little while ago, COVID's passed, now I can have things come in that I haven't had with me in a little while. And like going through those things, and there's so many that are quite tactile to me and things like that.
Yes.
But it's an act of service to me of like unpacking these things and reminiscing over stuff and doing that for me. So you've got those. You've got quality time, which I think we've actually all really touched on in terms of maybe your quality time is that time in the shower, stuff like that, or doing the dishes or something along those lines. I mean, if you're a busy parent with little ones kind of running around you, that might be your quality time is doing those things. You've got that. The receiving of gifts. That can be a number of different things as well when it's to yourself, of like you're going to gift yourself a really, really nice cup of coffee on a Sunday morning. This may be like you go out for it, or that you make it at home, and this is when you do the frothy milk and all of that fun stuff with the espresso machine and things, and just really taking the aromas of the coffee and the enjoyment of making it. You've got the physical touch. So that can come, I mean, pet one's a wonderful one. If you've got a little baby, that's another wonderful one. So, and I'm going to dare say about also that comes in there is a very nice scent one with a baby, because I know everyone loves smelling like a baby's head. So just fantastic. So you get that. You can also get yourself a massage, and those can give back in so many different ways of releasing things out. And then you've got your words of affirmation. And so that can come through in where you say things that you're grateful for, and that you appreciate. Your words of affirmation can come through that. And then you can also just say, hey, yay me, because I got up this morning, or I was awake before the alarm, or like any number of those different things that you can kind of give yourself that proverbial pat on the back. So,
yeah. That's lovely, Claire. And can I add to physical touch?
Absolutely.
Also with, self-touch, gentle self-touch. Really, if this feels comfortable to you, hand over your heart or on your tummy, or maybe holding your own hand or resting your hand in your forehead. A few moments of that and really nurturing yourself in that moment can be a great way to give yourself a bit of self-care and a bit of self-compassion. So you've got all of this literally at your fingertips.
Yeah, this is I totally don't remember where I heard those or anything, but this is like one of the most soothing things you can do for yourself. So I actually often do this if I find I'm a little worked up about something, is just holding my hands here for a bit, and that helps there's a nerve or I don't know, something here. I'll get back to you on that one. But yeah, that's a really, really, really nice one. Yeah. And I'm one of those people who, maybe you're like me and you hate being alone, because then the thoughts start happening, and some of them are crazy and some of them are not very nice. And so the idea for me of spending quality time alone with myself was like, no, thank you. Anything but that. But I, kind of got forced into spending time alone, and changed my life. I love it. I love it. So that's where the meditation and the journaling can really help, because you're sorting through all of that internal chaos in a way that like it starts to become less chaotic. So I would just encourage you, if meditation or being alone or anything like that is sounds scary and unappealing, give it a try. Stick with it, because what we're all after is peace and happiness, right? And that is actually created in here. It's not out here. So we have to go in order to find the things that are going to make us happy and peaceful. Right. So anyways, I love all of these examples. And I love languages. So if you don't know those, go check those out. But unless we have anything else, I'll move on to the next.
Oh, just really quickly, Amber, I think that's a great point you raised. Sometimes looking into this stuff does bring up unpleasant feelings, and that's normal. Don't worry about that. That's totally normal. And that's one of the reasons why we're going to have something next week. So if you do find that coming up, just make a note of it. We'd love to talk about it because that's 100% normal. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So if you're coming with us in our adventure in our booklet, we're on page 7, boosting your self-care practice. If you are proficient, you want to stretch your self-care muscle even further. So along the lines of what Claire was saying, you're going to add either time or frequency onto what you're already doing. That's one way to do it. So if like I started meditating between 5 and 10 minutes, and now I'm trying to do 20 minutes. Or I might try and do 20 minutes. I'm supposed to. I had a challenge to do 20 minutes twice a day. I have not been successful at that yet. But that would be another way to boost the self-care. Or maybe you're doing it more times a week, if it's something else. And then you want to change things up. Maybe you always take the same bike path, when you get your exercise and go on your bike. Maybe you take a different route. Maybe you pick another area that really needs to up level, so like maybe you've got your diet nailed down. Maybe you've got your, your schedule, your relationships are in a good place, but maybe I'll just use my own life for an example. Like my finances is something that I've not really paid much attention to. And now I'm like, okay, so I've got these kind of things sort of going, we've got a flow. Now I'm ready for the next challenge. Okay, now what am I going to do about this? Or now I'm going to get coached more than once a week because I really need the extra support right now because I'm going through a big change. Those are the types of things that you could start to up level. If you've already got kind of like the basics down, maybe it's time to challenge yourself with something new. Because we're trying to work to bring balance to all areas of our life. We want to be balanced physically, emotionally, mentally. And of course, there's always going to be stuff, and there's always going to be, challenges that are thrown our way. And what's great about doing these practices is it helps us to handle those things so much better. Like if you could see my response 5 years ago to a stressful event and my response now to that same kind of event, I'm a different person.
Well, and on that point, it's the difference between reacting and responding as well, isn't it? There's a lot of us when we're very, very stressed, not taking care of ourselves, we just react to stuff like I've got to do, something else, I'll just do it. Whereas in a self-care world, you would respond to that. So you'd be like, do I need to do that? Do I need to do it now? And then choose to respond. And you'll see the change in my hand reactions of like this is a reaction. This is kind of like a response.
Yes.
To it.
Yes.
And I love that you can be sort of proficient in one area, but still then look to explore and start off as a novice. These aren't hard and fast terms in another area. So we're all just kind of ebbing and flowing with self-care in different areas. Yeah.
And like when you experience a big change, like you might have to start over. That's what I've been doing since I moved. I had to reestablish my self-care practices and having, what's great. And if you're watching this and you're kind of on the fence about coming next week, like I just want to encourage you to come because we knowing that we were doing this event tonight helped me that accountability helped me to make sure that I started to reestablish my healthy habits after I moved. So if you're somebody who struggles, getting going, join us next week. It's going to be just a conversation like this, and you can share what you're struggling with. We're actually going to share some things that we're working on currently. And so we can all kind of go around and
we're right there with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. No. And sometimes someone's got that simple idea that you've not thought of. So we all help each other in that. And you say about like the habits and stuff. When I moved, my physical setup changed. I went from living on 1 floor to now 3 floors. And it changed things a lot for me. And so my yoga practice actually got easier after I moved because I've got a dedicated spot for it. So the mat stays out, the blocks are there and everything else, and I can just hop straight to it. And it's amazing. I mean, rolling a mat out doesn't take anything, but the fact that it's already out and there is it's slotted in so well. So sometimes you need to kind of find a new space or make a change that just opens up this entire world for you to be able to do those things.
I love that. Awesome.
That was a nice transition point.
Yes.
To the practical stuff.
Yes. So okay. So get your pens out, get your workbook out, and you're going to see me. I'm off screen. I'm just looking at something at the moment of this, and we're going to walk through. Jen's going to walk you through some stuff on getting clear on your why. Amber will take you through commitments and things like that, and us coming back to next week, which we've touched on a number of times, and we will keep touching on that just to remind you guys, and if anyone comes in late. So get your pens out and we're going to go through the why. So what you want to do is page number 8. You've got some writing room in there. And this is about understanding your why, which is where it's going to be the piece that you'll dial back into and be like, okay, I'm choosing to do this because, and I've got to call him out because I can hear him, Amber. Yeah. Amber has a lovely puppy under her desk and he snores and I love it. Yeah.
He's part of my self-care.
He kind of is for me as well when we're online and stuff. And I'm like, okay, there he is. This is awesome. So because he just chills out and you're like,
snoring away.
The world's good. So so the self-care. So if you can figure out what your why is, that's what you're able to dial back into. So when you're having that day where you're like, I don't want to, then you can be like, oh, I do this because of. And so I mean, the one that I kind of messed around with earlier of like you clean your teeth so you keep them nice and strong so you can eat those like really hard biscuits that you might like. So and us English people love our really hard biscuits. So and if you're not a tea dunker, then they don't get soft in anyway. So so there's things that you might dial into that. So like one way that I can touch on my why with my yoga practice, I do that because I want to keep myself supple. So I am not, when I go to the gym and things like that, I'm not the best person at stretching afterwards. I'm just not, I'm like, oh, exercise is all done, check, and out of the gym. But if I do the yoga, then that helps me maintain being more supple. And so I do it for that reason. I remind me. And then that's kind of where I started with it. But then the one that popped in, which is really, in all honesty, when you talk to a lot of people about yoga, the best one is your Shavasana at the end, where you just lay there like a corpse and hope your mind can go nice and quiet and just absolutely sink into the mat. And so those are things that where you find your why, and then you get up after that. And I do my practice in the morning and I'm like, okay, cool. What's going on in my day? As opposed to sometimes if you don't do those types of things and you get out of bed and you're like, okay, now I've got to go. And that's the momentum that carries on in your day. Whereas when you start, for me, I found when I start with yoga, there's a slower momentum to my day and I'm a lot more thoughtful about my day. So that's kind of sort of like an example as to finding your why. So
love it.
Yeah, that was lovely, Claire. And I'll just add to that when we can get a sense of our deeper why, we touched on it at the top of the session. Self-care brings us an access to peace, reclaiming a moment of the day for ourselves, and helping us stay on track for the kind of life and finding moments of joy in our day. So these are deep values that provide us a source of strength and motivation to keep going if we are feeling a bit like, oh, I can't be bothered today. So the famous philosopher Nietzsche said, he who has the why can endure anyhow. Now that might bring up pretty dramatic scenes of climbing Mount Everest or whatever, but knowing the why helps balance the kind of negative thoughts that might come up when you don't feel like going to the gym, or you don't feel like doing the thing, or you would rather run through the business meeting you're going to have that day rather than being present in the shower. If you can tap into the why being present in the shower is important for you that day, which is giving yourself a moment of peace, building that practice so you can claim a moment of your day, and literally training yourself to be more accessible to joy and being able to respond rather than react. That positivity balances the I need to just get going kind of more negative vibe. So we've got a little space in the booklet to just spend a moment thinking through what your why is for what you want to add to your self-care and why you want to do it. So you have access to that more positive driver to balance out and help you keep momentum up with your self-care practice.
Yes, that's awesome. So everybody can take a moment and write down why you might want to do some of these things.
Should we read through ours while people write those down?
So my why is just, I want to be the happiest, healthiest version of myself possible. I want more freedom in my life. And that includes the freedom to just be myself, and freedom to be confident, and financial freedom, and all of the things. Like, I just want to live a happy, healthy life. A lot of, like I said, this stuff for me is prevention. I am trying to prevent stress from negatively impacting me. I am trying to prevent having to go to the doctor. I'm trying to prevent, the negative effects of stress on my physical body. And so for me, it's tapping into that. I want to be the happiest, healthiest version of myself, because that feels like freedom. So that is my why.
Lovely. Claire, do you want to go next?
Yeah, so I've kind of given you my specific yoga one already.
Okay.
So, but I mean, in terms of if I look holistically at my self-care practice, it comes down to two things for me. One, I want to be present. I want to be where I am when I am at that given moment. So whether that's sat at my desk replying to emails, or whether it's out having a beautiful walk. I mean, it's turning into autumn for us here. So like the leaves are turning, and just noticing them, those types of things. So just being really, really present with what I do. And then my other one is being an observer. Like when I do those things, I can then see the little chipmunk that's running in the woods. I can see that the leaves have changed color from last week, or that the light's in a different place, and just really, really noticing that stuff and getting a lot of enjoyment from that. So so those are my two, just kind of come down to that.
That's funny. I wrote down the word observe as well in my little booklet. So I want to have a calmer, clearer mind, and be ready to observe and respond rather than react.
Yeah, because if you observe, you can notice things and start to be like, oh, I'm feeling something kind of come up here, and like what's occurring with that, as opposed to being like, I'm mad or something else. So it's really nice on that side. So cool.
Lovely.
Yeah, if you're following along, feel free to pop yours into the chat so we can all benefit from each other's. And we do have a question from Denise. Hi, Denise.
Hi, Denise.
She's one of my yoga students.
Oh, lovely.
She's awesome. So maybe we'll answer this question in just a sec after we do our next piece on our commitment.
Okay.
Time to put your money where your mouth is.
So that's page 10.
With a lot of self-care.
Yes, with gentleness and kindness and compassion. Okay, so we're going to do our self-care commitment. So we're going to pick one thing that we're going to do. You're going to pick how long you're going to do it, or how often, and duration that feels easy to you. So first you want to figure out, are you a beginner, intermediate, advanced, or beginner, competent, or proficient? Sorry, trying to remember the terms we use. So kind of figure out where you're at. And then, based on your level, what is one small thing that you can do? And I would stay away from every day, doing something every day, or, even 5 days a week. That might be too much. I don't know.
Right.
You get to decide, but you're going to commit to doing one of those things. And it could just be saying no. It could be like setting a boundary. It's like, when I get this phone call or text from someone, my self-care is to say no when I'm asked to do something I don't want to do.
Yeah.
So page 10, everyone, where you fill in these things.
Yes. So you commit to adding the following self-care practice, and then pick how often and what the duration is.
Right. And to touch on what we've kind of sort of themes we've had going through this is, you may be proficient in something right now, but you've never done yoga, you've never meditated, you never journaled. So that would put you in the novice category for that, or novice level. And so you will want to choose, like, you may already journal for an hour every single day or something, but you don't meditate. You're not going to go in for that meditating for 1 hour a day every single day between now and next week. You may go in there with, I'm going to try meditating once between now and next week for 10 minutes.
So we're looking for something. We would encourage you to find something that feels easy, really small. I'll demonstrate with my commitment, if now's the right time to do that. So my commitment is, I'm going to recommit to a regular meditation practice. My practice dropped off a couple of years ago, and I've been looking to get it started again, but I find lots of excuses. I'm very good at that. So my commitment is 3 times a week. So that feels good. Like, I checked in, maybe, 5 days a week kind of sounds better, but I'm just going to go really easy on myself. 3 days a week, and I'm going to do it for 3 minutes. I was thinking about 5, but that, if I took a couple minutes away, that's where the easiness, I felt it in my body. I'm like, yeah, that's easy. 5 I could do, but that's a bit of effort. I went really easy, 3 minutes. So that's my commitment.
Nice.
Awesome.
All right.
You want to go?
I was going to say the same to you. So I'm like, who wants to go next? So go on, Amber, all yours.
All right, I'll go. So as I mentioned, like, my thing that I want is freedom. And so I was trying to think of what feels like freedom that I could do. And for me, that's going for a walk in nature by myself. Because just breathing in that fresh air just feels super good to me. And so my commitment is to do a solo walk in nature 2 times a week. And I did the same thing as you, Jen. I was like, I'm gonna go like every day. And then I was like, no. What could actually happen? Twice a week.
Step aside, ego.
Yeah. I can do twice a week. And that's one of the things that's listed on our quality time self-care kit, because I'm a quality time person. So it's just spending time by myself and being present. And I might have nothing on in my headphones. Like, that is a free solo walk. There's no one else give noise in my head. It's just me and my thoughts, and I can process whatever needs to be processed. That feels good to me.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I'm going with something that I already do right now, but I'm going to change when I do it. So very strong flavor coming through for me tonight of yoga. So I'm very, comfortable with my yoga practice in the morning, but I think I could benefit from it at the end of the day. So some point from, post dinner, a little while post dinner, because it'd be nice on my stomach. But like post dinner to when I go to bed, put a yoga practice in, and I'm just going once between now and next week, and 20 minutes, because I know 20 minutes is a comfortable window for me, so that I can do. But the actual implementing it in of an evening will probably be the hard part for me. So I figure I would go with just the once.
Lovely.
Love it. So if you want to find out if any of us are able to do this, you have to come next week.
Right. Yeah. And we will be checking in on each of us. So
yeah. We need to be held accountable too. So so if you come next week, you'll find out any of us were able to do it.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, we just want to quickly touch on what are some of the hurdles that you might come across as you're trying to implement a new habit into your routine. And we're going to go in more depth on how to overcome these hurdles next week in our private, again, it's a private Zoom. We're just going to hang out for a bit. And actually this leads me to Denise's question. Maybe we'll do that first before we, but her question is, so she says, I'm a person who needs accountability to develop new habits. What tips do you have for that in the time of COVID where I have to stay away from people? So obviously one would be come to our group and get some accountability. Do you guys have any other
sometimes it can be like you write it somewhere. So like I'm a big fan of stainless steel fridge, and I write on it with like those dry erasers, something that's kind of there, but the dry eraser piece is kind of nice because you can edit it and change it. But for me, it's like if you are someone that either say lives on their own or have got still some sort of like home sheltering restrictions on them with COVID and stuff, having it somewhere that you're saying, I am committing to this, can be something nice that you can do for yourself, or do it virtually. I mean, everyone's now so familiar with Zoom and Skype and everything else, that could you do it with a friend and be like, hey, instead of us going to a studio to do something or meeting up for a walk, could we have a phone call with each other and go for the walk? Do it that way. So there's ways that you can virtually put the piece in. So I think your accountability can come in that way too.
And another approach might be, Denise, is maybe cut it in half. Make it really simple for yourself. Try and develop a habit with the small, easy step. You might find yourself, oh, this isn't going to do anything. It's too small. You know, those thoughts coming up. But it will, developing a habit with just something small and easy might be a good place to start building momentum. So maybe that's something else to have a think about.
Yeah, my what I've been doing lately is I have a couple of friends who are also trying to do self-care habits. And so I text them after I do it and be like, okay, your turn. So I'm like, okay, I did my journal, your turn. Or they text me like, I did my journal, your turn, you know. So it's just us checking in, like knowing that I can check in with her and say like, hey, have you done this? And not in the like, I'm checking on you, but just like, I did mine. I didn't want to do it. I did it anyway. And she actually got me to journal one day when I really didn't want to. She's like, well, I did mine. And I'm like, dang, now I got to do mine. So anyway, that could be another good, is find a partner, accountability partner, and check in on each other.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Virtually. Yeah, that's great.
Or hire a coach.
Yes. I mean, that's a nice segue there as well. I mean, so this is our second tea room, so you guys may have already met us before on the last one, or following us under for different reasons, but you can contact us. We put all our information in the booklet, so you can reach out to one of us and say, hey, I kind of connected with you through the Zoom that you did. I'd like to talk to you about something, because you can come to us for anything. So, and it can be a single phone call that we have, or it could be that we set up reoccurrences of things as well. So all our contact information is in the booklet for that.
Yes. And we just have one more comment from Catherine, who is my accountability buddy. She said, text accountability is a lifesaver.
Oh, there you go.
That's good.
That's awesome.
That's good. But yeah, I just want to pop on what Claire said. And yeah, like getting regular coaching for me has been also a great way for me to make those shifts in my life. And it's been a real game changer for me. So so anyways, I just want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. This has been really, really fun. Next week, if you're available, you'll get a link in the email that you used to come tonight, and we will meet up on Zoom. And it's just going to be, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a pretty small group. So don't be shy. come. You don't have to turn on your camera if you don't want to. You'll get to meet Otis, and we'll check in on our accountability and see how we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And this counts as self-care, by the way. I don't know that any of us have really called it out like this. And showing up next time around counts as self-care. So whatever your little turtle step is, they're all welcome.
Yes.
Lovely.
Yes. We're very grateful for everyone who attended tonight. And from maybe 3 different continents, who knows? So, all right, everybody. Well, thank you. And I'm going to figure out how to sign us off of here.
And we're just going to sit here until it happens. Bye. Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
I'm just going to drink tea.